Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another segment of the Music Industry Makeover. DJ Ronnie Ron, along with D Ray, the producer. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's popping? What's popping? Glad to be here this evening. I hope everybody's doing well.
Most definitely. Hey, we're glad to have you. Hey, you know what time it is, all right? It's the Music Industry Makeover, giving out tips, marketing, and promotional tips. And we have an awesome guest that's going to join us in a few minutes. So you all get ready for that, okay? Because we want you all to be a part of this discussion where you can ask questions or comments and things like that. But also just want to get a few things out the way. Just want to let you all know that the Music Industry Makeover is up under the umbrella of the Music Industry Networks, LLC. And so you can go visit our website, musicindustrymakeover.com, and we're a marketing promotions advertising company as we create the platforms and we control the exposure. All right. And so, hey, I don't care how tight your music is. If don't nobody hear it, then it's really no good. It's so definitely we want you to pretty much consider marketing and promotions wherever you go. Hey Leo, how you doing, brother? Thank you so much for checking us out there as well. And also Andre, hey, Prime Minister, yes, great treat, love you too, sir. All right, I want to definitely want to thank our advertisers and sponsors. If you are interested in wanting to advertise on all our platforms, make sure you go visit us, okay? Because we have some great packages for you, and we will work with you, okay? Just like we do here for sure. Man, I don't care what kind of event it is, as long as Blackie Sauce is in the building, the food is going to be right. That's what I'm talking about. Order yours today. Yes, thank you again to all our sponsors out there and advertisers. Okay, and as you saw those commercials, and you can have the same as we put it on all other commercials as well. And we have some other outlets and platforms that we can give you exposure as well too. So thank you so much out there. Also, definitely got to give shout outs to hey D Ray. Tell us, hey man, that's your information. D Ray, the producer. All right, hey, tell us what you have going on. Things.
Oh man, we got a couple of releases coming up. We're very excited. A new music video that I produced featuring artist Meek and Quiet Storm. It's a track called "Live and Not Die."
All right,
we will be premiering that on Hanging Out with Javetta and Carlos, which is a podcast here on Facebook.
Yes,
Carlos Big Los Massey. He's a Christian stand-up comedian, and he is also a film director. He directed it. Javetta starred in it, and we had a very, very talented cast. And and we're trying to promote a very positive message of being intentional. And so we're debuting that on their show this coming Saturday. So we're really excited about that. Got a couple other releases coming out. Got a few other things that I'm not quite ready to share, but we got some exciting things. We are definitely busy, and God is on the move, man.
Most definitely. Okay. So, hey, make sure you definitely get in contact with him. All right. Go visit his link tree as well as visit mine as well, too. All right. You can see everything I have going on. Yeah, because you need to be connected with the right people in this industry. So without further ado, speaking of the right folks here, man, we have a special guest coming out of Seattle, Washington. All right, on the west side, man. And this is my first time actually meeting this brother. And also I've seen a lot of his comments in on Facebook and dealing with the industry. Man, he's a music label owner as well as artist management, and has a production company as well as a record label called Save the City Records. And man, that's I like that, because we definitely need to save the city for sure. So I want to bring up, without further ado, Mr. Derek Hoyne. Did I say that right?
Pretty much, yeah. Hoyam. Yep.
Hoyam, Derek Hoyam.
Yeah.
Hoyam. Hey,
Yeah.
welcome to Music Industry Makeover, sir. How are you?
Really good. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me.
Who in the world let this Seahawk in? What just happened?
hey, fam, how you doing, Wilbert, and everyone else out there, Facebook user? Sorry, I can't see your name and things, but thank y'all so much. All right. Leo says he has you, but we're going to be talking with Derek here, and you all definitely need to have your questions and comments ready or so, because I'm telling you, man, he has a great wealth of information. But Derek, tell us a little bit about yourself and your influence in the industry, what you've done in the past.
Sure. Yeah. So I came straight out of college to this little company across the freeway here in Seattle called Microsoft, and spent about half my career there, 15 years, basically Microsoft in the tech industry. Then kind of started experimenting, found my hobby and doing kind of home recording, that kind of thing. And kind of got into, just recording family, friends, people I knew from church, whatever, bringing them into my studio. And and then essentially around 2007, well, actually it was around 2005 to 2007. I was really kind of making my way, getting commercially viable results. Had some singles on some local radio stations actually here in Seattle.
Wow.
And then that led to a deal that we had with Sony in Nashville.
Sony.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had that deal for about 8 years, sold over $1 million of music. And then through that process, met up with the guys from Color Me Bad. So
Color. Yes, I remember them.
Now for the uninitiated, we're talking New Jack City era, right around it.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
New Jack City. So I know the whole history. I know all the guys in the band leader, Ace Parker, who was the guitar player, ran the band, all the tours. He showed me the one-way ticket. He got to New York City and he never went back home after that. Anyway, so made the first gospel album for Kevin Thornton, who was the black guy in Color Me Bad.
Wow.
And then from that, also met Mr. Talkbox, who now has won 5 Grammys with Bruno Mars for 24K Magic, and I financed 3 of the albums for Mr. Talkbox. So Byron, Mr. Talkbox Chambers, and I are really good friends, and we have a great friendship to this day. And
that's my homeboy. Yes, Orlando in the house.
awesome guy.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, and then so essentially along the way was also recording other Christian artists, particularly in the contemporary Christian mainstream music industry, and went to market my music to mainstream Christian radio stations, and had some limited success there, and we can talk about how it's hard for independents to kind of break in to kind of bigger networks and doing battle with the major labels.
Wow. But you know what? I want to interrupt you right there, because we have this, I guess, in the gospel industry, it's they feel it's a little bit easier in CCM, and you said it was a little bit difficult or so. Talk to us about that, if you don't mind.
You mean gospel artists feel like it's easier to be on gospel radio, or
easier to be on CCM radio, or
contemporary Christian music?
Oh wow, definitely not.
Wow.
So we'll get deep into this.
Wow.
So I guess let me just say this. So I started in on what they call the CCM side, contemporary Christian music side. But as I got into it, I started realizing like I was starting to meet Christian hip hop artists. And of course I through, working with Kevin, working with Byron, who were kind of more R&B artists.
Right.
And actually what's kind of funny is like I was loving your intro music, by the way, because I was like, this is the 90s R&B vibe right here.
Exactly.
Thank you. And this is my favorite music form. Like if I can listen to anything like that, like I love R&B music. I could listen to it all day long.
Come on now.
So I was always curious, like, why is it that when you listen to a secular music station in a big metropolitan area like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have really all kinds of genres represented. You have pop, you have R&B, you have hip hop, and you might even have some, country crossover, single there or something, on the charts.
Right.
And I was like, when you tune into those same Christian stations or CCM stations in those same cities, it's a totally different sound. And like, why does this sound different? Like, why does it have to be that way? So I kind of started thinking, well, what? I guess I kind of saw a hole in the industry, and I thought I could push ourselves into that hole, which is we could start to bring artists from R&B and hip hop into more mainstream CCM. And so I started really becoming a student of that and started really researching artists who were in that space. And then so I started meeting all these different Christian hip hop artists, got deeply involved in that scene, know all the artists, know many of the producers. Shout out to Daramola, who produces for Lecrae and Andy Mineo, and I mean so many T.Y. I mean so many other guys, right? Like you guys probably know them all.
Oh yeah.
And anyway, so so I started signing a few of them to my label. So one of them was Jacob Washington, aka he goes by Jacob, Jekob.
Okay. Yes, I remember. Yes.
Yeah. So he was part of a group on Word Records, kind of back in the day with his brother and sister. They were known as Soldiers back then.
Yes, Soldiers. Yes,
yeah.
I have Yep, if I have their music.
Yeah, and then they left. So they sold over 100,000 records on Word Records. They left, went independent. So that then it was just him and his sister, and they renamed under the Washington Projects.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that was. Yes, man. Okay.
And then we met through Group One Crew.
Group One Crew. Yep.
Yep. So Blanca and Manny. And so then I signed the Washington Projects, and then I also launched Jacob as a solo artist through that.
Okay.
And then we ended up. So actually, Jacob, we had his first single was called "Love Is All." You can look it up and do some searches on it. "Love Is All," and that hit number 12. I think we were tied with "Mercy Me" for 26 weeks on the Billboard charts.
Wow.
On mainstream CCM radio, and they were and Jacob was the first solo male Black artist that I can remember at that time who had a charting Billboard hit since the late or the early 80s with Larnell Harris.
Larnell, man, yes. Hey, so man, my mom had his albums. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so you have different people in terms of this gets into other interesting topics too, such as racial things and in the church and in Christian music, gospel music. And so, I was just doing this research. I was like, hey, how many solo male Black artists have there been on Billboard charts in recent years? Right. And I'm like, none. Right. And I was like, this is really curious to me. And I'm like, we need to do more of this. Gotcha.
Wow. Hey guys, again, we are talking with Derek Hoem, so of Rain on Me Productions. Okay. Again, he's given us his resume and who he's worked with and things that he has been doing in the industry. And so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to, as we join in on the conversation here, because again, we're focused on marketing and promotions. And since we're on that, okay, for us with the marketing, can you tell the viewers and artists out here how vital it is to market and promote your music out there?
Yeah, I mean, this gets into some stuff that I kind of think about today. Like, even when I was marketing Jacob, say 8 or 9 years ago, like, it was always dominant. Like since recorded music was a thing over 100 years ago, we've had radio. Radio's been there. It was part of the process of publicizing recorded music. And so very early on, it became apparent that the first thing you wanted to do as an artist was get your songs on the radio.
Exactly.
And as part of that, people figured out very quickly I could pay a DJ to play my music
Payola,
to be on the radio. So there was very enterprising DJs in the early days, right?
Yes, some serious cash. Yes.
Shout out to Alan Freed, wherever you may be.
But then over time, right, like the radio industry realized that obviously was not real ethical practice. So then they passed the law as part of Federal Communication Commission, and that could not be done. You cannot pay DJs or radio stations directly from an artist or a label to play your music. So that became illegal. So that's payola, what we know as payola.
Right.
But there are no steroids in baseball either, right? So
exactly. Yeah. Okay. Right. Man,
Junior didn't use any steroids, and I'm talking about Ken Griffey Jr. But I do have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
On that vein, in that vein, the FCC laws that prevent and regulate payola for FM stations do not exist with internet radio stations.
Correct.
So my question to you is: should there be legislation to stop internet radio owners for basically saying, if you want me to play your record or you want me to give you some spins, this is how much this is going to cost? Do you think that it's time for government oversight on that, or are we not there yet?
Well, okay, here's why I'm going to answer that question a clear no. I think that we should not have legislation in that area. And here's why. Because the major labels have already been doing it for 100 years. And this is our chance as independent labels to get back. So like, if I can pay somebody to play my music, I'm going to do it, because you guys have been doing this forever and pretending like you're not. So
I don't know why that's so funny to me, but that is hilarious.
Tell it, Derek. Man.
So I mean, I could see a scenario where, you know, maybe there's disclaimers, right? I mean, kind of like YouTube today, right? Where there's a disclaimer that pops up on a playlist or something that says, hey, there's paid placements on this playlist. So YouTubers already do that today, right? There's paid advertisements in this YouTube channel or this episode or something. So I could see it like that. And I think we're all used to it now because of YouTube, because of movies, right? You see the Pepsi can in a movie or whatever. And so I don't think it's a big deal now. I just have more of a problem with it when people say it's not happening and it is happening, you know? And like I often joke that, hey, the way you want to get on a radio station is like, you know, you have to throw us a party in a city that we don't live in, right?
Come on now.
And then we'll think about playing your music. Well, why don't you put that on your website? Right?
Come on.
So let's just be clear about what's really happening here. So anyway. Yeah, so that's a kind of fast forward now. So Ron, you were asking me, this is a really long answer to your question about marketing music.
hey, so eventually you'll get to it.
Yeah, but I mean, my main point here is that radio has always been the main vehicle for marketing music. And I mean, to this day, I mean, like a lot of radio people today still say, hey, it's still important, like radio's still important. It's true. You know, it still reaches hundreds of millions of people. The thing is, when you look at who's actually really listening now, that demographic is shifting to the right of the chart, right, of the age range.
Man,
yeah,
I was going to get to that. So you pretty much answered my second question for us, even concerning the relevancy of radio, because how the consumption of music nowadays is changing.
Right. So radio, so what I like to say is radio as an art form is not going away, right? DJs making great playlists, having a great personality on air, knowing how to keep an audience on air, like, hey, during a live stream, during a podcast, that's not going away. It just now takes different forms. Like you have to have a YouTube channel, you have to have a podcast, you have to do playlists on Spotify and Apple Music. So you can look at what is quote a radio station, And a radio station now is just deconstructed into these other things, and you have to be doing them well, including actually social media is the other thing too. So I think in terms of, so back to your point, Ronnie, like I would say, you know, to really promote music now, you need to be promoting the playlists. You need to be, you know, active on social media as an artist, and running ads. I would just, this is my latest thing. I'm like, forget all the other kinds of promotion. I'm actually running YouTube ads. I'm running Facebook and Instagram ads for new releases that I'm coming out with. I'm spending my money there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's, and I've been doing some really interesting experiments. So, and I'll just put this out here. So one of the artists I'm working with right now, his name is Kola Malik, AKA Kid Sensation. He was the hype man for Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Okay, yeah. All right, Kid Sensation. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He acts, he you know, he's still doing music, produces, making beats, that kind of stuff. So we've been working together for the past couple of years. And so I've been doing some stuff with him, like running some different ad campaigns and things. And we're finding some really nice returns on our investment. And actually one of our big returns, I ran some, I've been using a service. I'll give us some shout outs here. I've been using a service called Tone Den. So some of you guys may have known this service called toneden.io. And Tone Den, what it does is it uses kind of like an artificial intelligence engine to run ads on Instagram and Facebook. And what it does is it figures out like what is the optimal mix of ads, and like it will kind of like, you can upload a video and a graphic, and it will do like an A/B campaign both on Facebook and Instagram, and then find out which ad set is working best for you and which age range, all this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like having a marketing person, but it's an artificial intelligence engine kind of thing.
Well, that is the wave of the future, unfortunately, but
yeah. And anyway, so I've run some experiments there. I'm actually going to do a YouTube video on this. And then I actually then ran just a manual campaign on YouTube, just promoting one of Kola's latest music video. And actually what we found was YouTube, just running straight YouTube ads is more effective. It was more effective than Facebook and Instagram, at least for Kola or Kid Sensation. So anyway, it's really interesting. And like, you're not talking a ton of money here. You're talking like a couple $100 a month or something.
Oh man.
And you can get like 10,000 new views on YouTube outside your normal bubble. Like, 'cause a lot of artists are like, hey, I'll put a music video out. I'll get 5,000 views or something like that. And it's the same people. I'm hitting the same people all the time who see me on Facebook or, you know, whatever. And so the complaint is, how do I get outside that bubble of people who already know me? Well, the answer is run ads. You just have to run ads. And so people often think, or artists often think that, oh, I got to spend thousands of dollars. And that's just not true. You can spend as little as $5 a day. That's $150 a month. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's like, you know, that's a couple tanks of gas in an SUV, right? So, yeah. And so for that, you know, you could get 10, 20, I mean, it depends on how viral your content is, right? You get 100,000 million views off of that $150. You never know, right? You got to do some tuning. You have to have some honest conversations with yourself about how good your content is and is it resonating, right?
And those views you want to turn to fans. You want them to you know, that's where we always talk about know, like, and trust. You have to build a relationship with people on social media. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So this gets into I'm going to give you guys some real secret sauce here now.
Really?
So,
oh man.
Yeah,
Real quick before that secret sauce. My man Prime Minister, who's a legendary gospel rapper from off of Grapefruit Records back in the day, says, "What doors are open for new artists? What direction can an artist of today tap into?"
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll just tell you. Well, okay. I'm going to give you a secret sauce from the ground up. So if I work with a new artist from a management standpoint, what I do is I get to their purpose of why they are here doing what they're doing, why God put them here.
Amen.
And because like everybody, there's 30,000 singles dropping per day on digital music services right now. 30,000 tracks dropping per day, right? And everybody's reaction is, hey, my new single's out now. Go grab it. Buy it, download it, whatever, grab it, add it to your playlist, whatever. Everybody's doing the same thing. So 99.9% of the people in the world are saying, my new single drop, out now.
Like, okay, and okay,
and exactly right. You don't care. And so the reason and how you get them to care is you tap into your purpose. And so I started working with a new artist recently, and found out that his mom had a lot of struggles with mental health while he was a kid. She was in and out of mental hospitals, had multiple relationships with different men coming in and out of the house, and how that jacks up you as a kid, jacks you up as a kid. And so anyway, so that's why he turned into a singer-songwriter. And he's like, that's near and dear to my heart, is mental health, depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, you should make that your thing. And he's like, yeah, I've got so much to say on that. I was like, great, write songs about that. Let's start working with nonprofits about mental health. Wow. And now we have a story to tell, right? And it's real. Right? So yeah, so I think that's the magic to marketing now. So to answer the question, I think it's not so much about, are you a new artist, an old artist, or whatever. I think it's about finding your purpose. Why are you here? And make that part of your story, and then have the story write itself on your marketing plan. Right?
Man, you dropping some joke, man. Go ahead,
Derek. There's a thing in the Black church where we say that is nothing but confirmation.
Yes.
Because for the past 6 months or so that I've been involved with this podcast, we always talk about what is your why. Yes. That is where your marketing plan starts. You have to know your why, because if you don't know your why, then you're not going to know your path. You're going to just always, your marketing plan is going to always to inbox as many people as Facebook will let you and say, please stream my record. And you're going to continue to go ignore it. So this is just really confirmation, good information.
Yeah. And I think too, and so if you're a new artist, right, if you know that why, you're going to make real friendships with, if you're into mental health, right, you're going to be reaching out to different mental health agencies or nonprofits or, other people that care about it, doctors, nurses, whatever. Right. And that becomes a language that now you can speak. You're making real friendships. And then now you have whole new channels and avenues. And what's amazing now, with the internet, we have so many channels. It's almost unlimited. We're not beholden to just terrestrial FM radio, right? To get our music out. And now we can do all these different forums. I can put my music on this podcast. I can do an interview on that podcast. I can, and so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
go ahead, Daddy.
That's great. I got 2 follow-up questions. One is underhanded and one is a curveball. Which one do you want?
Gotta get my mitt ready.
It's coming in hot.
All right.
So let's start with this. For the people that are out there that are watching, can you briefly explain the difference between marketing and promotion? They are related, but they're not the same.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm not sure if I'll define it the way you want, because it seems like you're after something there. But
no, because I, what it is I've only met you. I've only known you now 30 minutes, and I pretty much got a good idea of who you are. And so I'm pretty sure that whatever answer you give, people should be in the comments writing down, because we always tell them, you really need to have your notepads when we have a professional on. Yeah. Especially if they're tired of listening, to us say, what is your why? And so when someone else comes on, you're dropping some real good knowledge.
Very good knowledge.
People. And so, I'm not after anything other than talk, give the people what they want. No, give the people what they need. How about that?
Yeah, so
Amen,
I think of marketing is more about messaging and branding and being proactive and out in front of people. Like, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's what my brand stands for, right? And promotion is more just like, it's just brute force, you know,
Good.
running the ad campaign, you know, selling the CDs in the trunk of the car, you know, like, yeah, and there's room for all of that, right? Like there's always room to hustle. I mean, I've seen people, right, just through sheer hustle and selling CDs out of the back of their Pinto, right? They can move a lot of product. I've seen people do that. They can move a lot of product. And so I mean, it's great if you can have both, right? Great if you can master both, absolutely. But I think nowadays, like if I had to spend my money, spend my time, I would learn the Facebook ad engine, which also allows you to also market to Instagram.
Right.
And I would learn the YouTube ad engine.
Google.
Those two things, like study those, like, you know, the back of your hand, know them like the back of your hand, and understand what CPM is, click-through rate,
right?
You know, all that stuff. That's
SEO.
where you, yeah, SEO stuff with your website. All that stuff is golden right now.
Man.
Okay, so here's the underhanded question. Let's say you're getting ready to sign one of the most talented artists that you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But they look you dead in your eye and they tell you marketing and promotion is your job.
Right. Right.
I'm just gonna mute the mic and whatever you say to this person after they just said marketing and promotion is your job. I just want to hear what I got an idea, but I just want to see what you say.
Yeah, well, I think you know, especially in today's world, more so than ever, people are friends with the artist. They want the direct connect to the artist. And I'll say, like, the reason why Taylor Swift got to where she was is because she connected with young girls who were her age at 15, you know, or whatever, when she first started. And she was telling stories that they experienced in their own lives. Like, as they heard her music and what her lyrics said, they saw themselves in her. And they're like, we want to know you, Taylor Swift, right? Like, you're our friend. Right? And and that was the magic. That was the magic. It was not like some big ad campaign. I mean, I think Big Machine did a great job with her, you know, all through the years. Like, but I think the magic in who she is was because she really related to fans one-on-one, and they saw her as her friend. And so then on top of that, then she would do fun stuff like stalk her fans, right? She would find out what fans have done cool stuff for her, or maybe they've raised money for charities or something like that. And then she would show up on Christmas Day at their house with a pile of presents. I'm Taylor Swift. I'm coming into your house and giving you a bunch of Christmas presents.
Wow.
Today. Like, you can look up the clips on YouTube. Like, it's crazy what she's done. And so now, I mean, she's just known for that, right? So a record label is not a friend to the fan like that. and so the artists need to be doing that, right? That's the artist's job. And I think the record label can help with the strategy of that, like of helping guide the artist, but it's the artist who has to make that magic happen.
Come on, Derek, man.
See, Derek, that was a very, very, very nice and elegant way to say, get your lazy butt up and help and promote your own record.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was great.
Exactly.
And I like to, I mean, I'll be honest, like, this is where I feel like when you look at some of the record labels that have done well as of late, like in the last 10 years, the record labels that have done well are the ones that stood for a movement.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's not about a single artist. It was something bigger that they stood for, right? They rode some bigger wave, and where they were on that wave when it took off.
Come on,
right? And then the artists kind of became part of that wave with the record label, right? but again, it's the artists who have to make that to make the magic happen. I mean, the label can only do so much. And again, the label, like, I mean, of course, in Christian hip hop, the big, Reach Records is the prime example of that, right?
Correct.
When Reach came along, it's not like they were the first, but when the wave was starting to form based on all the other stuff that had happened prior, right? Grape Tree, Cross Movement,
Frontline Records,
yeah, exactly. And then Reach was just there right at the right time when that wave, it was just, and then Lecrae obviously did a great job, great music, great branding. His name, was easily recognizable. I mean, there's so many things that were in his favor, and yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of how I see it, is the relationship between the artist and the label.
All right. Hey, again, this is the Music Industry Makeover. Man, we have Derek Hoem with us. All right, with Rain on Me Productions. Okay, and again, you make sure you definitely get in contact with him. Go see what he has going on with his label, which is called Save the City Records. Right, Save the City Records, and so. Again, this brother is dropping some jewels, so you all definitely, I hope you have been paying attention and putting some and writing things down, because this is what we do on the Music Industry Makeover. Real quick, I want to go to to a couple current events that we had. My man Prime Minister from Grape Tree Records, which is coming back, by the way. He says, I'm simply in awe of this podcast. Artists now have a chance to make it happen. In my day, nobody told us nothing. And hey, thank you so much. Exactly. Because we want to see you all succeed, but you can't be lazy about it. You have to work. All right. It is what it is. But Jay-Z, when it would come Danny, you had shared that article or so. And,
absolutely. That he sold a percentage of Tidal to Square.
Yeah.
For a couple of $100 million. Right. Shout out to Jay-Z. Yeah. And one of the things, I wasn't able to be here last week, but one of the reasons that I shared it was because I'm a business guy and I'm also a researcher. I can start to see trends, and I can extrapolate that if you have a company that is known, and for those people who don't know, Square owns Cash App, along with a lot of other things. So let's see. If they own a company that can take your money, they own a company that can stream music, that has a direct line to a certain targeted audience. Oh, and they just did an acquisition of a merchandising company. I think, I don't know if it was Teespring or it's another one. Maybe Spotify bought them, but I can't remember right off. But just think, okay, merchandising. What do you think this means? This means now that something is coming, that for an independent artist, that if you're really on your game, you're going to have your own personal supply chain that you can buy into. And people can buy your concert stuff. They can buy your merchandise if you have it. They can buy your books, podcasts, whatever. Oh yeah, and Cash App is where? On everybody's cell phone. Since we're all kids of the 80s and the 90s, or like Arsenio Hall used to say, things that make you go,
CNC Music Factory, yes. And
so Derek, can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take that deeper. You're 100% right. So what else can you do on the Cash App today, in addition to those things? Do you guys know?
Nope, I sure don't. I know I don't. Maybe Danny probably know.
I'm gonna stay silent. I'm gonna learn.
Have you looked recently what's available on your Cash App?
Oh, Bitcoin.
Oh,
Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can buy Bitcoin directly from the Cash App. And so I think why this gets really interesting with their acquisition of Tidal is because now, imagine a world when somebody streams your music, you're paid for that stream within 10 minutes. Because the payment goes directly from the person who streamed it directly to you via Bitcoin, with no intermediary, no middleman, no bank, no
Whoa.
distributor, no nothing. The payment just goes to you, period. Right?
Man.
And if I can piggyback on that real quick, it's not just the streams. Imagine your merchandising. Imagine your concert tickets. Imagine any event that you're doing. You could actually do independent. We have a lot of independent filmmakers that watch us. Imagine that you're debuting your film on Vimeo and you're charging tickets, and guess what? It pops up right there on your phone.
Yep. Or even if you're streaming it for free, or even if on a YouTube channel, I mean, it can be done the same way. As soon as that stream happens on YouTube, as soon as that Vimeo stream happens, bam, money in your pocket immediately. No bank, no middleman, no distribution fees, no nothing.
So all these folks that been hitting our inboxes trying to friend request us and want to tell us about Bitcoin, you really don't need them, basically.
No, Ron, I still don't trust them.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, technology is changing the game. It's cutting out the middleman.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh,
well,
wow.
yeah, and the holy grail right now, right, is, I mean, this is where I think there's a lot of music startups kind of heading into this space, is that like today, it's really jacked up. Like if you're a songwriter and somebody downloads, a song on Apple Music, right, or they buy a CD or a vinyl or, whatever, like you got to wait for the record label to recognize the download, and then they have to, or the retailer sells vinyl and then they send the payment to the record label, and then the record label has to find out who owns the master and like all the different parties involved. So it takes months, right, to get paid. If you ever get paid, right, because it's so complex. There's so many writers, a lot of people don't even know how to do the math, and like, it's just crazy. So now I think with Bitcoin, what the core of the technology behind Bitcoin is a technology called blockchain. Some of you may have heard that word before, but basically what it is, it's just like an electronic spreadsheet that as transactions happen, things are just written down in the spreadsheet. And the thing with the blockchain is it's done in a public way. So anybody can go back and look at all the transactions in the spreadsheet. And Bitcoin is dependent on the spreadsheet being accurate. And there's all kinds of safeguards and all this kind of stuff that are at the heart of how making Bitcoin trustworthy. So the cool thing is if you can do that for a song, right? So if you write a song and you could say, hey, that's my song. And I wrote it with 3 of my buddies. And so we put 3 entries in the public, in the globally public ledger blockchain saying we wrote this song. And now anytime anybody uses the song in a music video, in a movie, in a stream, in a download, anywhere it appears, A, I know about it. And 2, I get paid immediately, right? So blockchain technology is going to completely revolutionize how we as creators get credit and how we get paid. And so I think that is where Square and the Tidal deal is actually pushing that envelope forward a lot, like in ways that we don't even really understand.
Now we got a question here. Dorian says this is a great conversation, but what is the point of entry to take advantage of the information? Is it to invest in Tidal or buy Bitcoin?
Yeah. Wow. This gets into deep territory. I think,
go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, you could do it on multiple levels, right? There's different ways to play it. But if it were me, I would be investing in Square. I don't know if they're publicly traded or not, or if they're a privately held company. But yeah, I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah, you can also buy stock on Cash App as well.
Okay.
And you can switch it. There's a switch that you can invest in either Bitcoin or you can invest in stock, and you can pick a stock that you want to invest in. Dorian, my answer to you would be, okay, first of all, what is your why? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to make your money work for you? Are you trying to, you know, do something else financial, or are you trying to find a way to enter into the music business? You need to determine what your why is first, because it's always, hey man, you could take $20 and convert it, add it to Cash App, buy $20 worth of Bitcoin, and you really are in the game. So,
yeah, I would say too, like just as a whole, I think an interesting trend is any startup or technology companies that are involved with blockchain technologies as a whole that go beyond Bitcoin. So applying essentially the infrastructure of Bitcoin to other business problems. I think that's a very interesting investment thing to look into. Yeah.
Wow. Again, if you're just tuning in to the Music Industry Makeover, all right, I want to thank you all so much as we have our guest on here, Derek Hoem, okay, Rain On Me Productions and Save Our City Records. And he's been dropping some great jewels here. You heard us mention about Bitcoins. Well, again, this could be involved in your music. All right. You can get paid, cut out the middleman. All right. So you're going to have to go back and listen to go and watch the show again. But man, he dropped some great jewels here. And I had no idea about that. And that blockchain, I think I remember hearing the terminology, but not really understanding it. And wow, yeah, thank you so much for breaking that down for sure. Guys, again, if you all have any questions or comments, we have 15 minutes here. So feel free to, because again, opportunities, information, hey, they are never lost. They just go on to somebody else. So you want to seize the moment, all right, and get this free education per se, but of course you're going to have to invest in yourself somewhere else down the line for sure. All right.
Okay. So we got a few more minutes, and I really want to get into this because I want independent artists to really understand the importance of having a quality master. Can you really talk about the difference? Why is it so important to have a professionally mixed and mastered song or project, and why it, what are some of the pitfalls that you can run into if your master is not mixed and mastered correctly?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing now, especially now with people's ability to create playlists, so easily, like, before, I mean, everybody's familiar with the term mixtape, right? Or compilation album or whatever. And I often hear people, oh, like, hey, I'm gonna make a mixtape, or I'm gonna make a compilation album. I'm like, what? You mean a playlist?
Right.
like today, it's just a playlist, right?
Exactly.
And that's beautiful, right? Because it's beautiful that I can just drag, say, a Bruno Mars song and put it right next to my song, and I can have it in the same playlist. So we don't have to wait for the DJ to play those two songs back to back, right? We can put the playlist together right now, and I can share it with my fans. And so so the problem is, so now that creates a problem. I have to sound as good as Bruno Mars.
Exactly. Quality.
Right? Yeah. So you're going to be back to back with other, major artists, and then the quality difference is immediately noticeable. And so then that's where obviously having experienced mix engineers and mastering engineers. And I'll tell you something. Here's I'll give you a fun story. So along my journeys, I met a guy here in Seattle. His name is Steve Smith. Steve Smith was the recording engineer for Stevie Wonder and the rock band Heart.
Oh, yeah, Heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know about Heart. Yeah. These dreams.
Yeah. So like one of Steve's first jobs as an intern, when he was mopping floors at a recording studio called the Record Plant in LA. This is in the late 70s. He was threading the tape machine with the Sir Duke horn section on Stevie Wonder's album. And anyway, so Steve and I became friends. So anyway, Hart moved up to Seattle after leaving LA in the 80s. They came up to Seattle. They created a recording studio up here called Bad Animals, and Steve Smith ran the studio up here. And anyway, so when I started making records, we kind of ran into each other through some mutual friends, got to know him and his background stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I can get mentored by this guy. And immediately he said, Derek, have you ever mixed anything on an SSL console? I was like, no. And he's like, I gotta educate you. So he took me to a studio where there was an SSL console, and we mixed some stems. So basically, you have drums, vocals, bass, guitars, right? Just your basic tracks of a song. Mm-hmm. So we just took some basic tracks, about 8 tracks of a song, and we ran them through an SSL console that I had previously digitally mixed on my computer. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard it through an analog SSL console, I was like, that sounds like a record. And he's like, yeah, because SSL consoles have been making every single hit record that you've heard for the last 50 years. Right. Wow. And so that's part of it, right? That's part of it, is not having that depth of knowledge. Mm-hmm. Of like, hey, you can still make great records on your computer. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. There's all kinds of plugins now that emulate these classic pieces of gear and SSL consoles. But if you're not using them, and you don't know how to use them, you're not going to have that record sound that sounds like a Bruno Mars track, because that's what those pro engineers are using, and those mastering engineers and stuff. So, and wow. Of course, some of the real geeks, right, are running through the real stuff. They're running through real analog gear. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's all. Yeah, really though. And it's interesting you said that. I love it, because I feel like that has been something that has crippled gospel music, particularly mm-hmm. Christian hip hop. It's getting better now. Mm-hmm. The production is getting a lot slicker now. But mm-hmm. in the past, you had a large group of people that would always say, I want you to ignore my production, just listen to my message. Mm-hmm. And in the marketplace, that you can't do that. You know what I mean? Right. You have to be competitive no matter what the message is. And so I'm glad that you put that out there. Yeah. So really, I mean, as it's always been in the music industry, and I've had to learn this lesson myself as a record label owner, like, work with great producers. Like, as an artist, you want to work with a producer that you vibe with, right? And that is also that also gets professional results. And is hopefully within your price range. You want to buy the best you can get at your price range, right? And you'd be surprised. I mean, because I've even heard too, like there's all these websites now. One is called soundbetter.com. It's a great place to look. There's BeatStars, another one. Like, so there's some really amazing. There's even Grammy-winning producers on these sites. Wow. Who will work with you. Like, you could get an exclusive track from a Grammy award-winning producer for like $4,000, which sounds like a lot of money, mm-hmm. but like in the big scheme of things, that is not a lot of money, for what you're getting. Like, if you want to have a single that sounds like $1 million, you spend $4,000, and you're gonna sound just like anything you hear on hit radio.
And again, you said spending money. All right. Again, that's for the studio. But again, if you have a great song out and nobody else hears it.
Yeah.
I always tell my clients, it's like, if whatever you are spending in studio time and recording, that is the same amount of money that you need to budget for your marketing and your promotion.
Yeah, right.
Because you shouldn't have one. Yeah, you shouldn't have one without the other. Yeah. But real quick, Ron, can you put up Dorian's last comment when he says my why?
Okay.
Because I want to get this to tie this back to what we're talking about. Because I asked him what his why was, and Dorian said my why is that information is so great that it can cripple us to not even try. Mm-hmm. That is absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Because there are so many artists that are out there that are scared to launch. They're scared to get in the water. Mm-hmm. And so it doesn't matter what we say if you don't have it in you to get out there and just give it a shot, you'll never know. And I always say, whatever music that you want to write or whatever art that you want to share, let the public decide. Get it out there. Because once you get that ball rolling, the hardest record to do is your first one. After that, it's just like, okay, now we're cooking. So yeah, don't be afraid to get out there and give it a shot. You never know.
Yeah, that's good.
That's it. Go and take a chance on yourself. You know what I'm saying? You were built with greatness, designed with greatness. All right. God put a stamp of approval on you. So go out there and go get it. Make it happen. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Brandon. Sometimes you just got to jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Wow, man. This has definitely been a great show, man. Yeah, oh yeah, she says yes, the first is hard. Yes, again, I've never made an album, but I know the nervousness, you know, the butterflies, like, man, will the public receive it? So
I mean, but Ron, think all the way back to the mid '80s when you had your Jerry curl.
Well, I never had one. Probably you did.
No, I did not. My mama wouldn't let me get a Jerry curl. But think all the way back. The first time you DJ'd a show, or the first time you DJ'd something, that first time, you know, it's like, whoo, it's really about to happen now. You know what I mean?
I know exactly. Yes. After the first few minutes, then it's like,
right. Okay. It's like, okay, I really am DJ Ronnie Ron now. You know, so and you know what, Dan, I still may get those butterflies every now and then, but again, I realize the value that I'm bringing and what I've done. So yeah, I mean, that's totally normal. And fear is just, you know, fear is a natural emotion. All right, but you can overcome that. I mean, I guess it should be more of a motivation for you. Okay. And yeah, I'm not going to preach to you now. Hey, thank you, Demetrius.
I like to think of albums, you know, things that you put out there. I mean, every artist, right, grows over the course of their career. And I like to think of it as like each album is like a stake in the ground that you're just putting along your journey. That's and at some point, as you climb a mountain, you can look back at all those little points that you put that stake in the ground. And you go, wow, look where I am now versus where I was when I first started. Right. So if you never put that first stake in the ground, you're never going to be able to look down from the mountain and say, this is where I came from.
That's good. That's good, you know? Derek. That's very good.
And the record industry now, the way that the music industry is set up now, it is the perfect time really to be an independent artist. And I told a client, a potential client today, it's just like, you know, you're at a point in time as an independent artist, you don't even have to worry about the major record label.
No.
It's almost like being, and I hate to say this, but yeah, it's almost like being on a little life raft watching the Titanic sink. And it's like, wow, the Titanic over there is sinking, but I'm out here in this water, so you know, that's where it is now, because the record industry is going to have to change and evolve or whatever. You have the tools in front of you right now. You don't even have to worry about the major record labels. Yeah. You know,
and really the biggest record label right now is social media. So
yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I think YouTube has been a great example for all of us as musicians because, you know, people are launching all kinds of YouTube channels every day. And really, it doesn't even really matter how popular your YouTube channel is if you can monetize your channel in other ways. Like you do a deal with this company, you do a deal with that company, right? It's all about marketing partnerships now. And so like, you know, I often say like, who would you rather have a deal with? Apple or like, I'm trying to think like Warner Music, right? Like,
I'll take that chance to rap a deal any day.
Right, exactly. I mean, Apple has. I'm glad you mentioned that because I think that essentially Apple is Chance the Rapper's label. They just don't say it.
Right,
right. They've been financing him, giving all kinds of marketing deals and stuff. He shows up at events and marketing videos and stuff for Apple all the time. So he's getting tens of millions of dollars from Apple. He doesn't need a record label.
Exactly. Hey, come on. Hey, real quick. Hey, Danny, you said something to me earlier. What, Travis Malloy or so?
Let me pull it up real quick.
We want to touch on this real quick or so concerning marketing. And again, we want to thank Derek Hoyam for coming on here. Again, make sure you go to his website. All right. I'll get Rain on Me Productions.com.
I hope Derek forgives you for butchering his name the entire
That's okay.
podcast.
No, you're close enough. It's totally within range.
but what Travis Malloy, who is, for those who don't know, is a very, very popular gospel producer, songwriter. He made a Facebook post that he said, "I don't care how much money you got or want to pay me. If you don't have a plan to go hard in promoting your music the best way you know how, I'm not writing or producing a thing. I'm sick of giving artists great material and they make 3 posts on IG and think that's promotion. This industry is less about music and more about your hustle. Get it together."
Wow, powerful.
Yeah, it's good.
I approve that message.
Yeah.
I do too. Awesome. Again, Derek, thank you so much for coming on and giving up your time here. Any last words that you want to say out there to the people?
Yeah, I would say dream big. Don't think too small. And also kind of hand in hand with that, grow where you're at. Like, hey, if you're just starting, hey, realize you're just starting. You're just one step on the journey, but don't let that get in your way of starting. Right? Like go on the journey, go with God. Know, like Ray, what you said, know your why, know your purpose, and step into that and tell the story of why God put you here, and make as great content as you possibly can and as possibly as you can afford. So yeah, start now.
Awesome. Wow. Hey, D-Ray, go ahead.
My thing is, with the rest of this year, be intentional. Be intentional about what you're doing. There are people out there that need to hear what you have to say. And those people don't want to be preached at. They don't want they don't want to always have something hear from you because you always want to sell something. They want to relate to something that you've gone through or going through so that maybe y'all can walk together through whatever it is. And that is how you create a fan base. Be intentional, y'all.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. Awesome. Great words of wisdom from both of you all. And as I always say in parting, remember, you matter in the kingdom of God. So don't compare yourself or your ministry to anyone else out there. Just do what God has called you to do, and you will be just fine. Okay. Learn the music industry. Make sure you get in contact with us if you need our help. This is what we're here for. All right. And we look forward to seeing you winning what God has for you. Okay. Hey, we'll see you for another segment of Music Industry Makeover. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you again, Derek. And hey, stay on the line. Again, we will see you next week, Lord's willing. Be blessed.